I'm Chris.
And I'm Dave.
And this is Two Old Skeletons Talking.
Otherwise known as
T.O.S.T.
And we're coming to you from Seattle, Washington.
Which is where we're driving right now, and we are northbound on I-5 and about to get into the express lanes to head up to Linwood.
Yeah, we sure are. Oh, and what's the topic, Chris?
The subject for today is, why don't we drink or do drugs?
Because I don't. Okay, let's see what the next subject is. No,
Yeah.
I'm just teasing. I just don't, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know,
how much to talk about other than...
Well, why did you never start? I mean, because I assume you kind of... Here's the thing. I know that for me, I just never started, and therein hangs a tale. But I don't know why you don't.
Well, I mean, you presume that just drinking and drugs is normal, right? I mean, is that the presumption?
I do presume that. Yeah, because most people do. So it is by definition normal, yeah?
I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know, but I don't have any hard statistics to back me up.
You think that lots and lots of people don't drink or do drugs?
Yeah.
I mean, at least drinking. By the time you're an adult, everybody's, going out and having a beer on the weekends or having wine at dinner. And
I do every once in a while, I do every once in a while. I didn't when I was a cop, just mostly because you just get so tired of dealing with drunk people all the time. And just that smell of stale alcohol. And what happens is the very first time, and it only takes a couple months into this job if you work night shift, the very first time some drunk throws up in the back of your car and you have to drive around smelling like alcohol, like vomit, the rest of your night, it just kind of puts you off, that smell. So then even you're around other people, smelling something becomes sort of a trigger, right? When you're a cop and you're pulling people over on night shift and you're looking for crimes, the first thing you do when you pull somebody over is basically you're hunting for drunks or praying that you don't find a drunk, right?
Right.
Because it's the rest of your night. But so you pull somebody over and just that little whiff of alcohol gets your adrenaline going a little bit because okay, I got somebody here, how's this gonna go?
I forget about that fight or flight instinct thing.
Yeah, and it's just such your smell is such a powerful thing, and so then you go to parties and you're talking to somebody and you get that whiff of alcohol,
right? And
it's ingrained, and so all of a sudden it just sort of triggers you to your anxiety just jumps a little bit, you get going, and even if you try and talk yourself down and say, I'm just talking to a friend at a party, that smell is just so...
interesting.
But it's probably really uncommon for people to sit at home and just drink by themselves unless they're an alcoholic, right?
No, I don't think that's unusual. I think a lot of people do that who certainly don't consider themselves alcoholics, and I think that society probably doesn't consider them alcoholics either. I think... Depending on who you talk to, I think the mom wine culture, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think that some people would say, oh, all those moms are alcoholics. And I think some people would say, oh, no, all those moms are, just relaxing after a really hard day. Either way, I think a lot of times those moms are not drinking with friends.
Well, and that's the biggest thing, too. Well, when you're young, it's like you say, that culture is either you're hanging out with people who drink and do drugs or you're not hanging out with people who do drink and drugs for the most part.
Right.
Which didn't mean that, when I was in high school, it's not like we didn't have a couple of drinking parties, but mostly I hung out with theater kids and I hung out with police explorers, right? And so, and it did not take much to get you in trouble in the police explorers to get you booted out. And so mostly, it was just from being a square kid, And by the time that I went to Cornish, where drug use was not uncommon, I had already been like a police explorer for 6 years. I worked my way through college by working security,
Right.
And so I think I just was kind of I wasn't planning on being a law enforcement, but I almost had my criminal justice degree at that point. And so I just think I was probably, I don't know, just kind of more square, really, I guess. But, I don't know that there's a major philosophical thing.
Yeah, because, see, I thought that you never drank. I don't think I've ever seen you have a beer. And, when we have tea time at Skeleton Theater and everybody talks about, what we got done during the day, and everybody else is having a beer except you and I.
Well, I don't like the taste of beer, right? And
yeah.
so,
Well, I guess that makes that easy.
by the time it's the end of the day, I'm already really tired, you
Yeah.
know? If I'm tired and I just want something to drink, I prefer that little jolt I get from Mountain Dew, which is my vice, right? You know?
Yeah.
So, unless Janina's listening, in which case I don't touch the stuff, right?
What? Really?
Oh, God. Oh, my God. That's a topic for another day.
I didn't realize that. That's
Oh,
hilarious.
Horrible. And I think a lot of it is just you and we're people who do not like to be out of control, right?
I think that's really what
Yeah.
that's one of the main reasons I think that in the end I just decided not to ever start drinking
No,
or do
you
drugs.
got to be tactically ready at all times.
Well, tactically ready, and here's the other thing. I have to say, there's no evidence of this in my family, but I always kind of thought, what if I'm secretly an addictive personality?
Yeah.
What if that happens? What if I start drinking and I never stop? And I mean, that's probably overkill, but I think in the end, for me, it was more than anything else my first girlfriend that is the reason I don't drink. Because, so I'm a junior in high school, she's a senior. She's my first girlfriend, and we end up being each other's first, right? So, like 3 or 4 months later, we'd had sex a few times, and I start feeling horribly guilty because I'm like, I don't love her, and
You
and
are
this
square.
I'm so square, and I'm thinking this is wrong. I can't do this. So right after Christmas, I break up with her, and it goes poorly. But then, we move on, and it seems like everything's going to be fine. Okay, so we were in a choir together, and at the end of the season, so this is like 3 months later, we have a little party at somebody's house. So she got drunk before even getting to the party, and it was pretty much just to complain about me. And so all 16 of us are sitting in this guy's basement watching Aliens, and she just keeps making snide comments about me just left and right. Everyone's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And finally, I just say, look, you can say anything about me you want. I'm just going to leave. She's, no, wait. Can we just talk? Can we talk? So we go into this other room off the basement. At that point, it's just kind of a bunch of crying, but I thought you loved me. Can we get back together? And I'm just trying to think, how do I extricate myself from this? And I'm like, this really isn't working well for me. So eventually I'm like, look, I'm gonna go. And she's holding on to me. She says, no, let's just talk a little bit more. And more crying. And I then say again, I'm gonna go, and I try and push her away. She's just, octopus on me. And finally, I gave her another 10 minutes because and finally I said, look, I'm gonna go. And I pushed her away so that she's not holding anymore, and she slapped me so hard.
Oh my God.
She slapped the glasses off my head.
Oh my God.
And they flew across the room, and I'm blind without my glasses. I had no idea where they were.
And then you're like, okay, all right, that was what I needed to convince me to get back together again with you.
Yeah, exactly. That helps. So I go out into the room where everybody else is, and I asked my friend John, I said, look, my glasses are in there somewhere on the floor. Can you go find them so I can leave? So he goes to get the glasses, and at that point, she comes out, and she races up the stairs. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to have to go past her to get to the car. So my friend finds my glasses, and so he says, you want to just come over and stay at my house tonight? And so I'm sure. So we go upstairs. So this is my friend from church. He and I have been in church choir together for the last 4 years. So we go out to the driveway where my car is, and I get in, and yeah, she's out there still crying and drunk. And I opened my car door to get in, and she just follows me sort of. I'm in my chair, strapped in, and John's sitting next to me, and she's saying, but even when I know I'm not supposed to say this in front of John, but even when we had sex, didn't you love me then? I'm like, oh son
no.
of a...
Oh no.
So, eventually I just started backing the car out, and she's standing in the open doorway, so it's sort of pushing her, and she's not going to be able to maintain structural integrity there because she's super drunk.
Yeah.
And the door's pushing on her, so eventually she swears some more, slams the door, and John and I leave, and he said nothing. He just said nothing about it.
Yeah.
And like 10 minutes later on the way to his house, we started talking about something completely separate. And I thought, that's...
How about them Portland Trailblazers?
Yeah, something like that. And then, so she saw a couple of our other friends at the mall the next day, and she said, I was really drunk last night.
What happened?
Was it bad? And they're like, yeah, it was bad.
You may want to switch schools.
You kind of need to apologize to Chris. And, it's not that she did, nor did I think she should, really. I could see, well, basically, I was willing to take all the guilt upon myself because I had been such a horrible person. Because, I've just got an easily raised guilt complex.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, I'm 16. I'm a junior in high school. And at that point, I was like, boy, I don't think I ever want to do that, ever.
Yeah.
So I just never started after that. It just never occurred to me as something I'd really want to do.
Well, all right.
Yeah, I think so. That's...
Call that one done. See you later.
All right. Later.